The pained cry jolted Vincent Parker awake at 3 a.m., his paternal instincts firing before his mind fully registered the sound. His 6-year-old daughter Emma was having another asthma attack the third this month. He fumbled in the darkness for her inhaler, cursing silently at the empty prescription bottle that reminded him of his financial predicament. "Breathe with me, sweetheart," Vincent coaxed, his voice steady despite the panic rising in his chest. "Nice and slow." Emma's small fingers clutched his arm, her eyes wide with fear as she struggled to pull air into her lungs. The emergency inhaler worked, but it was their last one. Vincent held his daughter until she drifted back to sleep, his mind churning with worry. Tomorrow's paycheck from his construction job wouldn't stretch to cover both the rent and Emma's medication. Since losing his wife to cancer 2 years ago, every month had become a high-wire act of financial desperation. Morning came too quickly. Vincent prepared Emma's breakfast plain oatmeal with the last of their honey drizzled on top before walking her to Mrs. Hernandez next door. The elderly woman watched Emma after school and on workdays when Vincent picked up extra shifts. "How's she doing today, Mrs.?" Hernandez asked, noting Emma's pallor. "Better, but we had another episode last night. I'm picking up extra hours this weekend to cover her new prescription." Vincent knelt to kiss Emma's forehead. "Be good for Mrs. Hernandez, okay? Daddy will be back before dinner. Promise." Emma's voice was small, and Vincent felt the familiar twist of guilt. Too many broken promises since Marie died. Cross my heart. He traced an X over his chest, their special ritual. Vincent's old Ford pickup protested as he started it, the engine coughing before reluctantly turning over. The construction site was 20 minutes away, a luxury compared to the hour-long commutes he'd endured before landing this job with Peterson Construction 3 months ago. The day passed in a blur of physical labor. Vincent's muscles ached as he loaded materials and secured scaffolding. His boss, Frank, approached as they were wrapping up. "Parker, got a minute?" Vincent nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. "What's up?" "Got a small side job if you're interested. Home renovation project at a high-end property. Owners paying cash, no questions asked." Vincent's attention sharpened. "How much?" $500 for the weekend. It's mostly demolition work, tearing out some old fixtures, prepping for the contractors. "I'll take it." Frank nodded, scribbling an address on a scrap of paper. "Saturday, 8 a.m. Don't be late, these rich folks get testy about punctuality." Vincent pocketed the address with relief. $500 would cover Emma's medication with enough left over for groceries. Maybe he could even take her to that ice cream place she loved. After work, Vincent headed to the pharmacy, grinding his teeth as he handed over his credit card for Emma's inhaler. The balance was dangerously close to maxed out. At home, Emma greeted him with a flying hug, her small arms wrapping around his neck as he lifted her. "Did you have a good day, Daddy?" "Better now that I'm with you," he said truthfully. "How about mac and cheese tonight?" Later, as Vincent tucked Emma into bed, she asked about the photo of her mother on the nightstand. "Mommy would be proud of you," Vincent said, his throat tight. "She always said you were the bravest girl she knew." "I'm trying to be brave," Emma whispered. "So you don't have to worry so much." Vincent swallowed hard. "You don't need to worry about me, sweetheart. That's my job." "But who worries about you, Daddy?" Vincent had no answer to that. Saturday morning arrived with promise. Vincent dropped Emma at Mrs. Hernandez's with a new coloring book, a small splurge, and headed to the address Frank had given him. The property was staggering a sprawling estate set back from the road, protected by an elaborate gate system. Vincent identified himself through the intercom and waited as the massive iron gates swung open. The driveway curved through manicured gardens before revealing a mansion that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Vincent parked his battered pickup truck beside a gleaming Jaguar, feeling immediately out of place. He grabbed his toolbox and approached the front door, which opened before he could knock. An older man in a crisp suit nodded at him. "Mr. Parker? I'm Howard, the house manager. Mrs." Mitchell is expecting you. Please follow me." Vincent followed Howard through a marble foyer that could have fit his entire apartment. The interior was elegant, but showed signs of renovation. Plastic sheeting covered some furniture, and there were paint samples on one wall. "Mrs. Mitchell is in the solarium. She'll brief you on what needs to be done." The solarium was a glass-enclosed space overlooking expansive gardens. A woman stood with her back to him, speaking on a phone. She turned as Howard announced Vincent's arrival, and Vincent found himself momentarily speechless. Katherine Mitchell was not what he expected. Maybe in her early 30s, she had chestnut hair pulled back in a simple ponytail and wore jeans and a plain white button-down shirt. No flashy jewelry or designer labels, just an air of quiet confidence that immediately commanded respect. "Thank you for coming," she said, extending her hand. "Katherine Mitchell, Vincent Parker." Her handshake was firm, her eyes direct. "Howard will show you the areas that need demolition. We're renovating the East Wing guest bathrooms and need the old fixtures removed and the walls stripped." "Frank speaks highly of your work." Vincent nodded, relieved to be on familiar ground. "I appreciate the opportunity. Frank mentioned this is a weekend project." "Yes, though it may extend into next week depending on progress." Katherine glanced at her watch. "My father is coming for lunch today to see the renovation plans. I hope the noise won't be too disruptive. I'll try to keep it down during lunch hours." Katherine smiled, a genuine expression that transformed her face. "I appreciate that. Howard will get you settled." The work was straightforward. Vincent fell into a rhythm, carefully removing old fixtures and preparing the spaces for renovation. The craftsmanship in the house was impressive. Even the outdated bathrooms were luxurious compared to his apartment's leaking shower. Around noon, Vincent heard voices in the hallway. Katherine appeared at the door. "We're having lunch on the terrace. There's plenty if you'd like to join us." Vincent hesitated. "I wouldn't want to intrude on family time." "Nonsense, you've been working hard. My father insists." Vincent followed Katherine to an expansive stone terrace where an older man sat at a table laden with food. He rose as they approached. "Dad, this is Vincent Parker, the contractor I mentioned. Vincent, my father, Edward Mitchell." Edward Mitchell was a distinguished-looking man in his 60s, with the same direct gaze as his daughter. "Good to meet you, son. Any man willing to tear apart these monstrosities my daughter calls bathrooms is welcome at my table." Lunch was surprisingly comfortable. Edward asked thoughtful questions about construction, and Vincent found himself relaxing as the conversation flowed. Katherine mentioned her work with the family's foundation, which supported medical research and community healthcare initiatives. "Katherine's mother died of a rare heart condition," Edward explained. "Since then, we've focused our philanthropy on cardiac research and community health access." Vincent thought of Marie and felt an unexpected connection. "My wife passed away from cancer 2 years ago." "She would have appreciated your work." Katherine's expression softened. "I'm sorry for your loss." "Thank you, we're managing." Vincent didn't elaborate on their struggles. After lunch, Vincent returned to work while Katherine and her father discussed renovation plans. He was making good progress when he heard a crash followed by Katherine's panicked voice. "Dad, Dad." Vincent dropped his tools and ran toward the sound. In the living room, Edward Mitchell had collapsed. Katherine was kneeling beside him, her face pale with shock. "He's not breathing," she said, her voice trembling. "I've called 911, but Vincent didn't hesitate. He knelt beside Edward, checking for a pulse. Finding none, he immediately began CPR, drawing on his mandatory construction site safety training. "Come on," Vincent muttered, counting compressions. "Stay with us, Edward." He continued chest compressions as Katherine watched, her hands clasped tightly. Minutes stretched like hours until finally, Edward gasped and coughed. "Dad," Katherine cried, grasping her father's hand. The paramedics arrived moments later, taking over Edward's care. As they prepared to transport him to the hospital, one of them turned to Vincent. "Your CPR saved his life." Another few minutes without oxygen to the brain. Katherine stood in shocked silence as the paramedics wheeled her father out. When they were gone, she turned to Vincent, tears streaming down her face. "You saved him," she whispered. "I didn't know what to do, and you saved him. I just did what anyone would do." Katherine shook her head. "Not everyone knows CPR. Not everyone would have acted so quickly." She brushed away tears. "I need to get to the hospital. I don't know when I'll be back." "Don't worry about the job. Family comes first." Katherine hesitated, then impulsively hugged Vincent. "Thank you. I can't ever repay you for this." Vincent watched her hurry out, still processing what had happened. He cleaned up his work area and left a note with his cell number in case she needed to reach him about the job. Then he headed home, unsure if he should return the next day. Emma greeted him with excitement about her day, but Vincent was distracted, his mind on Katherine and her father. That night, after Emma was asleep, his phone rang with an unknown number. "Vincent, it's Katherine Mitchell." "How's your father?" "Stable. The doctors say it was a major heart attack. If you hadn't been there." Her voice broke. "I don't want to think about it. I'm glad I could help. I'm at the hospital for the night, but I wanted to ask if you could continue the work tomorrow. The house will be empty, but Howard will be there." "Of course. Take all the time you need with your father. Thank you for everything." Vincent returned to work the next day, throwing himself into the demolition. Howard checked on him occasionally, providing updates on Edward's condition. By Sunday evening, Vincent had completed most of the planned work. As he was packing up his tools, Katherine arrived looking exhausted but relieved. "Dad's being transferred to a specialized cardiac unit tomorrow," she said. "The prognosis is good, largely thanks to you." "That's great news," Vincent said sincerely. "I've finished most of the demolition. I can come back next weekend if you'd like." "Actually," Katherine said hesitantly, "I was hoping you might consider taking on more of the renovation. Frank mentioned you have experience with full bathroom remodels." Vincent nodded. "I do, but my regular job, I'd pay double your usual rate, and you could set your own hours." Katherine met his eyes. "It would mean a lot to have someone I trust working on the house." The offer was too good to refuse. Vincent negotiated a schedule that would allow him to work evenings and weekends without neglecting Emma or his day job. Over the next few weeks, Vincent fell into a new routine. Days at the construction site, evenings at Katherine's mansion, and precious hours with Emma in between. Mrs. Hernandez agreed to extend her babysitting hours, charmed by Vincent's obvious dedication to his daughter. Katherine often worked from home, and Vincent found himself looking forward to their conversations during his breaks. She was surprisingly down to earth for someone of her wealth and position. Sometimes she joined him for the simple dinners he brought along, genuinely interested in his insights about construction and home design. One evening, Katherine asked about Emma. "Frank mentioned you have a daughter," she said as they reviewed tile samples. "How old is she?" 6 going on 16, Vincent smiled. "She's the reason I keep going. You must miss spending evenings with her." "I do," Vincent admitted, "but this job means I can finally get ahead on her medical expenses. Emma has asthma and the medications aren't cheap." Katherine frowned. "Do you have health insurance?" "Basic coverage through work, but the copays and deductibles are still rough." The conversation shifted to other topics, but Vincent noticed Katherine making notes afterward. As the renovation progressed, Vincent found himself sharing more about his life with Katherine. She was an attentive listener, never pitying but genuinely empathetic. "Marie would have liked you," Vincent said one evening as they shared takeout after a long day of work. "She believed in being direct and honest, too." "I wish I could have met her," Katherine replied softly. "From everything you've said, she was remarkable." "She was." Vincent hesitated. "What about you? No husband lurking around this mansion?" Katherine laughed. "No. I was engaged once, but it ended badly. He was more interested in my family's money than in me." "His loss," Vincent said without thinking, then felt his face warm at Katherine's surprised expression. Edward Mitchell was released from the hospital after 2 weeks and occasionally stopped by to check on the renovation progress. He'd taken a liking to Vincent and often brought architectural books he thought might interest him. "You have a good eye for design," Edward commented one day, reviewing Vincent's modification to the shower layout. "Have you ever considered pursuing it professionally?" Vincent shrugged. "Life took a different turn. I'm happy building things, even if I didn't design them." "Sometimes life gives us second chances in unexpected ways," Edward said cryptically. A month into the project, Vincent received a call from Mrs. Hernandez while at Katherine's house. Emma was having a severe asthma attack, and her rescue inhaler wasn't helping. "I need to go," Vincent said, already grabbing his tools. "Family emergency." Katherine didn't hesitate. "Take my car, it's faster. I'll follow in your truck." Vincent was too worried to argue. He raced to his apartment in Katherine's Jaguar, finding Mrs. Hernandez holding a frightened Emma who was struggling to breathe. "Hospital," Vincent decided immediately, gathering Emma in his arms. He was halfway to the door when Katherine appeared. "I'll drive. You stay with her." The next hours were a blur. Emergency room doctors worked to stabilize Emma while Vincent paced anxiously, Katherine a steady presence beside him. When they were finally allowed to see Emma, she was breathing normally, connected to monitors and an oxygen mask. "Daddy," she whispered, her voice raspy. "I was scared." "I know, sweetheart, but you're okay now." Vincent brushed her hair back, his hand trembling with relief. Katherine hung back, giving them space, but Emma noticed her. "Are you Daddy's friend?" Katherine stepped forward with a gentle smile. "I am. My name is Katherine." "You're pretty," Emma said with a child's directness. "Daddy, isn't she pretty?" Vincent felt his face warm. "Yes, she is. Now rest, okay?" Later, while Emma slept, Katherine insisted Vincent eat something from the cafeteria. "The doctor mentioned she needs daily medication to prevent these attacks," Katherine said carefully. "Is that something you've discussed with her pediatrician?" Vincent stared at his untouched coffee. "We've tried various treatments. The most effective ones aren't fully covered by insurance." "I see." Katherine was quiet for a moment. "Vincent, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I'd like to help." "Katherine, please hear me out. My foundation specifically works to ensure children have access to necessary medications. This is literally what we do." She met his eyes. "It's not charity. It's what Emma deserves." Vincent wanted to refuse, but Emma's pale face in the hospital bed outweighed his pride. "What did you have in mind?" "Let me connect you with our healthcare navigator. They can help identify programs and coverage options." Vincent nodded slowly. "Thank you. I'm not used to accepting help." "Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is let others in." Katherine's hand briefly covered his. "I've learned that the hard way." Emma was discharged the next day with a new treatment plan. True to her word, Katherine connected Vincent with the foundation's resources, and within a week, Emma had access to medications that dramatically improved her condition. The renovation continued, but something had shifted between Vincent and Katherine. Their conversations became more personal, their shared moments more meaningful. Vincent found himself thinking about her during his day job, looking forward to evenings at the mansion. One Saturday, Katherine suggested a break from work. "Why don't you bring Emma over?" "The pool is finished, and it's supposed to be hot today." Vincent hesitated. "Are you sure? She can be a handful." "Positive. I've been wanting to meet her properly." Emma was thrilled at the prospect of swimming in a castle pool. When they arrived, Katherine had floaties and pool toys waiting. She'd even prepared kid-friendly snacks. Vincent watched in amazement as Katherine engaged with Emma, her laughter genuine as they played simple water games. Edward joined them for lunch, charming Emma with stories and magic tricks. "Your daddy saved my life," Edward told Emma. "Did you know that?" Emma's eyes widened. "Really? Like a superhero?" "Exactly like a superhero." As Emma explored the garden with Edward after lunch, Katherine joined Vincent by the pool. "She's wonderful, Vincent. You're doing an amazing job with her." Some days I'm not so sure. He watched Emma giggling at something Edward said. Since Marie died, I've been so focused on keeping us afloat that I worry I'm not giving her enough of what she needs emotionally. What I see is a father who would do anything for his daughter. Katherine's voice was soft. That's exactly what she needs. Their eyes met, and Vincent felt a current of something more than friendship pass between them. For a fleeting moment, he imagined what it would be like to have Katherine in their lives permanently, the thought both terrifying and exhilarating. The moment was broken by Emma's excited shout as she discovered a butterfly garden. Katherine smiled and stood, offering her hand to help Vincent up. He took it, noticing how natural it felt when she didn't immediately let go. The renovation was nearly complete when Edward invited Vincent to dinner at his home without Katherine. I wanted to speak with you privately, Edward explained as they settled in his study after the meal. About Katherine, Vincent tensed. Sir, I've seen how you look at my daughter. And more importantly, I've seen how she looks at you. Edward leaned forward. Katherine has always been careful with her heart. After that fortune hunter nearly trapped her in a loveless marriage, she built walls. I would never. Edward raised a hand. I know that. That's precisely my point. When you saved my life, you weren't seeing Katherine Mitchell, heiress to the Mitchell fortune. You were just helping another human being. He smiled. Do you know what she told me in the hospital? She said it was the first time in years she felt someone saw her for herself. Vincent swallowed. Katherine is remarkable. Her wealth is the least interesting thing about her. Exactly. Edward nodded approvingly. Vincent, my heart attack made me realize life is unpredictable. I don't want my daughter to miss out on happiness because of fear or circumstances. What are you suggesting, sir? I'm suggesting you consider whether your feelings for Katherine go beyond friendship. And if they do, don't let differences in your background stop you from pursuing them. Vincent drove home thoughtful. He'd been denying his growing feelings for Katherine, convinced someone like her could never seriously consider someone like him. But what if he was wrong? The next evening, Vincent arrived at the mansion to find Katherine waiting with champagne and a cake. What's the occasion? He asked, setting down his tools. We're officially finished. Katherine gestured to the completed bathroom. It's perfect, Vincent, even better than I imagined. Vincent surveyed their work with pride. The bathroom was a blend of classic elegance and modern convenience, exactly what Katherine had wanted. I couldn't have done it without your design input, he said honestly. We make a good team. We do. Katherine handed him a glass of champagne and a small envelope. Your final payment, plus a bonus. You've earned it. Vincent opened the envelope and stared at the check. Katherine, this is too much. It's exactly what you deserve. Her eyes met his. Vincent, I have a confession to make. What's that? I stretched out this renovation. We could have finished weeks ago with a full crew, but she took a breath. I wanted more time with you. Vincent set down the champagne. Why? Because somewhere between you saving my father's life and building these beautiful spaces, I fell in love with you. Katherine's voice was steady despite the vulnerability in her eyes. I've never met anyone like you, someone who sees me, not my bank account. Vincent stepped closer, his heart pounding. When I first came here, I saw this mansion and thought I couldn't possibly have anything in common with the people who lived here. Then I met you. He took her hands. You're the most genuine person I know, Katherine. Your wealth doesn't define you any more than my struggles define me. And what defines us? She whispered. The way I feel when I'm with you, the way you are with Emma, the way we both know what it means to lose someone we love. Vincent cupped her face gently. I've been falling in love with you too, but I didn't think someone like you could want someone like me. Then you've underestimated us both. Katherine leaned into his touch. Vincent Parker, I don't care about our different backgrounds, I care about who we are together. Their first kiss was tentative, then certain a promise of possibilities neither had dared imagine. In the months that followed, their relationship deepened. Katherine became a regular presence at Vincent's apartment for movie nights with Emma. Vincent and Emma joined Katherine for Sunday dinners with Edward, who delighted in his role as surrogate grandfather. Katherine's foundation launched a new initiative focused on asthma treatment for underinsured children, inspired by Emma. Vincent continued his day job, but enrolled in evening classes for architectural design at Katherine's encouragement. "You should use that creative mind of yours," she insisted. "Life is too short not to pursue what you love." A year after that fateful day, when Vincent performed CPR on Edward, they gathered at Katherine's mansion, now equally Vincent and Emma's home, to celebrate Edward's health and their engagement. "Who would have thought," Edward mused, raising a glass, "that my heart attack would lead to my daughter giving her heart away?" Katherine squeezed Vincent's hand. "Best decision I ever made." Later, as they watched Emma sleeping peacefully, her breathing clear and strong thanks to proper medication, Vincent reflected on the strange twists of fate. "If someone had told me a year ago that performing CPR would change my life completely, I wouldn't have believed them," he murmured. Katherine leaned against his shoulder. "When you saved my father, you weren't trying to impress the rich girl. You were just being the man you are, caring, capable, and kind." She looked up at him. "That's the man I fell in love with." "And I fell in love with a woman who saw beyond my circumstances to who I could be." Vincent kissed her gently. "Not a millionaire, but someone with a generous heart." "We saved each other," Katherine whispered. "Some things are worth more than money." As they stood in the doorway of Emma's room, Vincent felt a profound gratitude. From desperate nights worrying about medication to this moment of quiet joy, their journey had been unexpected but perfect in its way. Tomorrow would bring wedding plans and foundation work, architectural classes and family dinners. But tonight, in this peaceful moment, Vincent knew with absolute certainty that some forms of wealth couldn't be measured in dollars, only in breaths, heartbeats, and love that arrives in the most unexpected circumstances.